What's up, guys? Welcome to the Creative Collective podcast. What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of what we're calling the Creative Collective podcast. Today, I'm joined with two people that I love so much, Jess and Ian. What's up?
What's up,
Andrew? Good. How are you guys? Good. Well, cool. Well, first, before we get into all of the details and whatnot, we start having a conversation. Will you tell anybody that's watching or listening just kind of who you guys are, what you guys do? We'll have Jess go first and then Ian.
Yeah. Okay. My name is Jessica Louisia, and I do a lot of things. I run a marketing team at a technology company. And then at night, after work, or when I'm not working at the company, I pursue photography. I actually started a photography business like a year ago, actually. I got my first legit, full frame professional camera last year on my birthday, actually. So I was actually telling my husband yesterday how exciting it is that my birthday's here in 1 year, all that I've accomplished since I got that camera in my hands. So I was so thankful for him. I'm like, thank you for pushing me out of my box. He literally forced me to go into a camera store. I'm like, no, we can't afford this. Are you crazy? What are you talking about? He's like, I want you to get a camera. He's like, put the work in, you know what I mean? And it'll come back. So so I've been doing that for, like I said, a year, and it's been an amazing journey. I've met so many great people. Ian, for example, that's here with us, in this whole journey and collaborating with a lot of other artists and photographers and learning from so many different people. So it's been really, really cool and fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So good. So good. Yes. Awesome. Love you, Jess. All right, Ian, tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do.
I do a lot of stuff. Right now, during the day, I remodel homes with my dad.
Cool.
Lots of craftsmen, finished carpentry stuff, pretty much everything. But I've done photography for a really long time. I started assisting in the Nike studio when I was 24. Now I'm 31 and doing my own photography, taking on my own projects.
So cool. I didn't know you worked for Nike. Hello.
Yes.
Okay.
We're going to get into it.
I was bottom of the ladder though. I had to
climb that ladder.
Climb it.
Oh my gosh. Well, cool. So what I want to talk about today is this idea of collaboration. This is what the season's all about, is collaborating with people, one, that you love and that you care about, but also people that challenge you, okay? So how I met Jess through dance, so I've known her for a few years. Ian is more recent. You started coming to our creative meetups. Yeah. You've been to 6 of them, maybe? 5 or 6?
Not even that many.
Okay,
4. Because I missed the last one.
Yeah.
Wow,
you're bad.
I know, so you're bad.
I've been to 3, but we've hung out a couple times outside so
of
we'll call it 5.
Okay, 5. All right. We've hung out 5 or 6 times maybe.
I'll put 5.
But let's talk a little bit about just your experience with coming to the creative meetups. Because I think your first creative meetup was actually when Jess was speaking.
Yeah, that was when we first met.
Yep.
Actually.
So good. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about that. Your experience coming in, how you ran into it first of all, and then kind of just tell us a little bit about your experience personally.
I found it pretty much how everyone found it that's not, your friend or already in your circle. Is just I was browsing Instagram, I saw there's a creative meetup, and that's something that I've been starved for since I moved back from Utah, or I moved back to Utah.
Yeah.
So I just kind of went way outside my comfort zone, came over, met tons of really cool people, and I just keep coming back to meet, the community is so great. Yeah. And there's so many people like Jess who are doing really interesting, creative things that make me want to be better. Yeah. And so if I keep coming back and I try to contribute to that community, it just feels so good.
Yeah, so awesome. So basically you kind of just came in not in desperation, but just wanting a sense of community, wanting people to be around, that kind of, and almost coming in not knowing anything really about us.
No, I didn't.
Did you listen to, I think we had a live before that. Did you hop in on the live, or did you see?
No, because I saw your Instagram ad a day before. Cool. So I saw it, just put it in my calendar. I knew I had the next night free, so I just came out. I didn't even know this building was here.
So good. So good. All right, so let's dive in a little bit deeper to collaboration, because we're actually going to be working on a future project together.
Which is going to be so fun.
Which I won't tell you a lot of the details, but basically we're going to be working on kind of a magazine and kind of collaborating together on some thoughts and some ideas, because I believe that both of you guys are great photographers for sure. You both have a different style, which I love, by the way. Jess has a way of doing headshots and portraits and actually getting like into the details. I remember one specifically, which is Dave Elsog with the blue eyes. He came in.
Yes.
He came in with like not a good outfit at all.
Shorts and flip flops.
Oh
like,
my
dude,
goodness!
man,
But
what are you doing?
Made him look like a rock star in general. But let's talk a little bit about just what collaboration is to you guys on an individual standpoint. Maybe some projects that you have worked on currently, or maybe in the past that you guys are doing. What is the importance of collaboration to you?
I mean, for me, just like Ian mentioned, it's just when you work with other people, they push you and they challenge you and they help you like see things in a way that you probably wouldn't have seen by yourself, right? Giving you a different perspective. And when we did the project, our first project with Cindy, and we did that shoot for the first magazine, that was my first time working with another photographer, right? And so it was interesting to be with somebody else and like their choices and how they work and what they see with their eye compared to what I see. Wow. And there were so many things that I took away just with Cindy, learning from her. And that's why I'm even more excited to work with Ian, because like his experience, oh my God, I'm going to be like soaking it all in, right?
No,
like
don't
taking
your expectations.
Oh, come on.
Oh my gosh,
come on.
So good. He worked with Nike, so.
Yeah, hello.
Come on. That was years ago.
No, and it's just yeah, but it's like even when you came to the first meetup that we met and you told me like just looking at my photos, like, hey, just think about maybe what, taking that aperture up a bit and get more in focus and stuff. I'm like, I've been like thinking about that ever since, right?
Oh,
so
cool.
Yeah.
every time I did.
Has it worked out?
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's awesome.
Definitely. Yeah, and it's just like I did more studying about focal length and certain focal lengths and apertures and how those go together. And so I definitely found like, oh God, and now I see it in every picture. Now I can't not see it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay, but I've improved it and now it's better. So thank you for that. So anyways, that's what I love about collaboration. I love that, like I said, people give you perspective you don't have, and like I said, give you information you can learn more. Get just a whole new access to some things that you love and that other people love as well, so you can share that together.
So good. So basically what I'm hearing you say is that even, I think it was like the first time you guys probably met, you guys started talking about photography, and I think I overheard some conversations about like aperture and all these different things. But what I really love, especially about different people like you guys are so open to hear each other's perspective. Mm-hmm. And I think oftentimes a lot of people that are in their own field, whether it's they're freelancers or they're their own photographer, they have a certain way of doing things, and stylistically it maybe doesn't match. And so I think for a lot of creatives, we put up a wall and actually learning and absorbing some information. Like for me, knowing and having the conversation with Ian for the very first time, you took that. I was like, okay, I'm gonna try that. Yeah. You didn't say you didn't know his whole background.
Man, you crazy.
You didn't know anything. Like, why are you talking to me? I don't know you. Like,
I love this photo.
Yeah. This photo is good.
No,
what are you talking about?
Like you said, everybody has an opinion.
It's so good. Yeah. But it's really awesome to see different people that can come in and absorb information from somebody that they don't even know. And that's the culture that I love, and that's what I'm trying to build with even like Nominalist Creative, is building a culture of people coming in that actually accept each other's differences and that challenge each other.
For sure.
So what's been a moment maybe in your guys' career with doing photography, or maybe even dance for us, it's been a huge background. What has been something in your career that you guys have been challenged with working in collaboration with someone else? Maybe a story about Nike, or maybe, you're working with somebody and like they had a whole different idea, but you collaborated with them and you guys coexisted together and it came up to be this amazing thing. Like maybe tell us a story about that if you have one.
Totally. Ian, do you have anything that comes to mind?
I'm having a hard time finding specific examples, but the theme that kind of comes to mind is communication is so important when you're collaborating with people.
Definitely.
Everybody comes with different backgrounds, different experiences, different preferences, perspectives, and it's so hard to find people that instantly mesh, and their vision is the same and their intention is the same. Almost never happens. Wow. But if you can communicate really well, you can reach that mutual goal, as long as everybody's aware of what's your intention going into it. What are we trying to accomplish, and how do we support each other going through it?
So good.
And that to me is probably the most important thing in those tight-knit collaborations.
Oh yeah, and I think another thing is respect. Have respect for other people's ideas and respect for other people's perspectives. Like I said, everybody sees things differently, and that's like to a strength of any type of project that you're working on with different peoples and different minds, because like we're bringing like all of these different ideas in all different ways that can turn something into such a like even bigger thing than it would originally would have been if it's just one person who's trying to figure it out on their own, right? Adding so many different more minds like makes an idea grow in such ways that you never would have probably even expected. So that's what I love about collaboration. It's just like ideas can like flourish and completely more bigger or grander than you ever could have thought it would have.
It's chemistry, you know?
Right.
You add two different elements together and it creates something that the sum of each of their parts would never accomplish.
On their own.
Put them together and it becomes this really powerful, beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes you get an explosion.
You got to collaborate with the right people.
Yeah.
Collaborate with the right people. But let's talk a little bit more about your guys' just background in general. And then when did you first realize that, man, like I want to start pursuing photography. I want to start pursuing this type of photography as opposed to this type? Because you guys have two different styles, two different ways of doing things. Maybe you always run into, I think with any photographer, they've probably done portraits or they've done like, you know, maybe other shoots to start out. But let's talk a little bit more about when did you first decide, I want to actually do this type of photography? What does that vetting process look like for maybe somebody that's picking up a camera for the first time? And they're like, I don't know what I want to shoot. I don't know what, do I want to do landscapes? Do I want to do, like, what do you want to do? How did you guys come to like the knowledge of knowing this is exactly what I want to do when it comes to photography specifically?
I'm still doing that to this day. You know, it's been an evolution, and I would just say anybody who's approaching photography, graphic design, pottery, anything, just pursue what makes you happy, because that's where you're going to find your strengths, and that's where you're going to find your passion that will keep propelling you to get better and better.
For sure.
So
And my process, you know, I started out, my dad gave me his film camera in high school, started shooting on that, really liked it, didn't know it was even a possibility to be a photographer as a profession.
Like to pursue it in that way as a career.
Yeah, and then by a total fluke, I got that opportunity to assist for people at the Nike studio, and I saw what that was. So then I started, you know, just emulating what they did. I started working with athletes and doing fitness and things like that. Kind of grew out of that, started doing more portraits and editorial stuff. And then I was with a traveling band, so I was always taking landscape photos, and I grew up in
Lifestyle.
Utah. Yeah, always doing. So it's just been a continual evolution. And now I've gotten to this point where I'm really fascinated with storytelling and how do you do that through a single image.
Yes.
So now I'm getting into documentary work, and it's interesting that process of evolution and seeing where just your life experiences take you, and you know, it never stops.
No, definitely. I mean, there's so many different things you can photograph. For me, when I first picked up a camera, that was my overwhelming thought, like what type of photography do I want to do? And so I did everything to figure out like which one of them actually made my heart go boom boom. And when I started, I was taking pictures of everything, leaves, flowers, like fences, I don't know, horses, whatever. And then when I finally did my first shoot with Jordy, they approached me like I just had a camera maybe barely for only like 6 months. I just got it off of Facebook Marketplace. Somebody wanted to sell their Sony A600, and I'm like, for some reason, I'm like, I had to have that camera. I called my husband. I'm like, I'm gonna spend $300 right now on a camera.
You got an A600 for $300?
Yes.
Oh, that's a steal.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
And so I just grabbed it up and I was hooked. And because I grabbed it up and I was just like taking all these different pictures and I didn't know. And then when I did that shoot with Jordy, she reached out to me. She's like, hey, can you take my photo? I need some new headshots, portraits.
Wow.
And when I had that session with Jordy, I like knew this is the kind of style that I want to do, right? It's just like it's this interaction, this exchange between two human beings in a session like that is just so intimate, so raw, so vulnerable, so authentic. And I really love that. I love that I was able to deliver these amazing photos to Jordy to say, this is who you are, right?
Yeah.
And I want to empower people to have that about themselves, like to have a piece of work of themselves, because they're a piece of art and they're a masterpiece, right? So being able to capture that and for them to see who they really are, I thought was really, really cool. So then I was hooked. And then I decided, you know, because I watched webinars on landscape photography, all different types of stuff, and like trying to learn it all and figure it out. But then, the moment I took Jordy's picture, I was like, all right, I know now. Like, and when you know, it's like so clear, and you'll know it when you feel it.
That's another interesting thing about community.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even have to, I don't know Jordy, I don't know what they do, but that's another thing about community that's really interesting, is that some people will come and just ask you to do something because they know that you do it, and then it brings like this gift into your life. And you never, like the more people that you bring into your network and you collaborate with, regardless of what they do, you never know where that's going to take you. I love that story.
Yeah,
it's
and
so cool.
I'm so thankful to Jordy, because I don't know, I mean, I probably wouldn't have accelerated as much in my career with photography if she didn't ask me to do it, because I would have never asked somebody if I could take their photo, because I still felt like I wasn't ready. I'm not ready. I still got to learn. I still have so much to learn. I'm not ready. And when she asked me, I was just like, all right, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to give it my 100%, and I'm going to fail probably, or I'm going to whatever. And it, the photos came out great. I was so proud, and I was just like, I could do this. Like, I got the confidence that I needed to be like, I could do this. And then after that, it snowballed. I had people DMing me, like, I saw Jordy's photos. Can you do my photos? Like, yeah, of course. So it was amazing. So thank you, Jordy.
Let's talk a little bit about, because what I'm hearing you guys both say in the theme of picking and choosing from a photographer's standpoint and what you're going to really step into. What I'm hearing is the underlining that we love telling a story.
Oh yeah, storytelling is crucial.
I really believe that in any field, like even with what I'm doing and making brands come to life and sitting down with different business owners, from corporations to small businesses to startups to rebranding, all the things, everything in between, what I really love and finding out and sitting down with a person is, what is your story? Who are you?
Right.
Like, what makes you you? What makes you your experiences? And just knowing, and I got a really good glimpse at it when you were doing for our magazine, and you would sit there with one person for like 30 minutes, and it's almost before you even started shooting, you started just asking questions. And then I can see the turn of like the way that people think, because a lot of people don't like being in front of the camera. I mean, they hate it.
Oh yeah.
They hate it. And I was just amazed to see even like how all those photos turned out with you and Cindy, that you began to tell a story and you allowed people space to be them in front of the camera.
Yeah, that's all I want. I say all I want is you. So don't come to me with what you think you should be. I want you to be who you are.
Don't try to post up like you saw those models on Instagram.
Right.
Don't do that. Just show who you are, because everybody is different.
Exactly. And that's
everybody has a story.
Yeah, and what makes you unique is your power, right? That's your strength. That's your superpower, So I feel like that for me is just like, that's what I strive for every shot that I take, is just like, I want to capture them as much as possible, because I feel like so many people walk through life feeling like they're not seen, they're not heard, that nobody ever really will ever know who they are. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, I feel like with my photos, especially, like what I strive for is to give them that piece that they can share with the world. They can share who they are. And I think it's really special.
So
and I feel like it's healing. It heals me. I feel like it's healing for them to feel empowered in front of a lens where so many people start thinking of their insecurities and that they're not good enough, like all these things. And I love that they walk away feeling like, I'm a great person, and I have something to tell.
Art therapy. Like you're just
I was like,
let it go.
This is a therapeutic moment.
Totally.
That is so awesome.
For me too. Like I love, like when I get in front of a camera, I feel weird. I'm like, So I understand their position. So I try my best to make sure that they feel comfortable, so that when they're comfortable, like that's when they really come out of their shell. You know?
Let me ask you guys a question about this specifically, but then also I want to talk about innovation and what that actually looks like and what that means to you. I mean, some people believe that they can be innovative, and some people believe nothing new is created underneath the sun. I agree kind of with both. But what do you guys believe for you in your side of photography and what you guys do? How do you stay current? How do you stay innovative? How do you push the boundaries from where you were to where you want to go? What does that look like? Because I do think collaboration has a lot to do with it. Because I believe in accountability. I believe that no matter what it looks like from your career, like I have business mentors that are walking me through seasons of my life and whatnot. So I believe in accountability. I believe in challenging each other. But what does that mean to you? Innovation. How do you stay current? How do you stay relevant? How do you push the envelope with what you do specifically?
I'm always looking at other people's work. I'm always, like, I follow so many photography, like, accounts on Instagram, and I always like go through my feed every day and seeing like what other photography is like. I find the people that I want to be, like I want to get to that level. So I found an amazing, like her name's Carrie Roseman, and she's a portrait photographer out of Connecticut, and I just love her. Like she teaches posing and all that stuff. So I like signed up for one of her classes, took it, and so I said, okay, I'm going to use you as like a roadmap, like of where you are is where I want to be. So I always look at her photos, I look at her style, see what she does. I go on her website, kind of give an idea of like how she offers her services. Like I just want to learn from them. So I feel like, yeah, you should always, just like even as a dancer, as any artist, you should always be looking at what other artists are doing. They keep you honest, they keep you present, and they also keep you, like you said, at the level you want to be, and they challenge you, and it's like, oh man, I really love this shot. How did they get the shot?
Yeah.
So I start looking into it, and I'll go on YouTube to see if maybe they have like a tutorial and they'll show their lighting setup. I'm like, oh my God, okay, cool. That's their lighting setup. All right, I'm going to picture line.
Yeah. All my money.
So I know. I got my strobe.
Picture line is like the best and the worst place in the world.
Yeah,
It's like,
I know.
oh
It's like a candy store for photographers. It's like, it's like addicting. But that's how I moved from doing natural photography in terms of like natural light. Because anybody who does photography, they start with that. It's the easy thing, right? Cheapest too. You just have your camera in the light around you, outside, inside, whatever. And when I saw some photos from a photographer that was in the studio, the first thing I thought, scary, studio lighting, scary, flash, scary. But I kept on just watching YouTube videos to kind of learn as much as I can. And then I finally felt like, okay, I think I'm at a point now that I've learned as much as I can by watching videos. I need to get the light and actually try it. So I did. So that elevated my photography even more. Getting those, like a strobe light, like it completely changed my game. Like it changed the quality of my headshots. It was just what I needed to do. So like I said, I always just try to follow the path of the people that are killing it, that are making it, and I'm like, how do I get there, and what are they doing, and try to learn from them.
Yeah, so good. What about you, Ian?
I would agree with that, and I would also say, what I said earlier was when you're pursuing anything new, like any new passion, just find the aspect of it that makes you happy, and then just get obsessed with it.
Yeah.
Like do your research. YouTube. I love going to the library and just getting my hands on books and just geeking out for hours at a time and getting completely lost. So. But where I'm a little different with you is I actually don't follow a lot of photographers on Instagram or anything like that. I love following painters. I love following like dancers. I love dancers. I love like people who do art that's not photography. I find so much inspiration and innovation from that because they're doing something a little different. And I'll get obsessed with it, and I'll be like, how can I incorporate that into what I do?
Yeah,
cool.
And I find that my most fulfilling projects that I've undertaken were where I just kind of like went out on a limb and I tried to figure out how to incorporate what they're doing into my my art.
And your style. That's a really good point. I mean, I do follow a lot of dancers because I was a dancer for a professional dancer for so many years. You're right, a lot of different mediums. Film is another place that I get inspired.
Movies, for sure.
For photography.
Yeah.
The shots, you know what I'm saying? Motion pictures, people, motion pictures. It's like, oh my God, look at that shot, look at that framing, and it's like, that's a great idea for like a shot from a movie. So coloring, lighting, all of that.
I've got an Instagram account to show you. It shows behind the scenes of all like the famous movies that have been made in the last 30 years, and it shows their lighting setups.
Oh my God.
So I'll share that.
Yes, please. That would be amazing. Like whenever I watch The Matrix, I'm always like, I love the lighting, the coloring in this movie. John Wick, it's just like brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant lighting.
I think you just like Keanu.
Oh yeah. Well,
I think that's the
maybe. But it's the thread. But I'm just saying, like with those two films specifically, like the way that it's lighted is so epic. It's just so good.
Yeah. Now I want to talk about just how do you keep your first love, your love? Because we started talking about it at the last meetup that you missed, Ian.
Sorry. We don't have any notes.
I deserve it though. I just forgot to put it in my calendar.
I had to say it. But we started talking a little bit about how, because a lot of people were dealing with, man, I've been doing photography, or I've been doing this, or I've been doing branding, or whatever that came to this last meetup. And I just saw there was like this sense of like burnout. Of like, this is my first love, but then now I gotta edit all these pictures. I have a backload of thousands of pictures, and I don't want to edit them, and yada yada yada. So let's talk a little bit about how do you guys keep your first love, because I think oftentimes when you get into your career and you start doing photography for money or a job or whatever, it can get kind of mundane and you can get bored and all these different things. How do you guys keep your first love,
I do think that if you want to keep it completely pure, just don't do it for money. But if you do get into a professional side of it, you absolutely have to make time for personal projects.
Oh yeah.
You have to make time to do the things that nourish you and re-inspire you and keep you creative, because you can get into a rut so easily just doing the same thing,
for sure,
and then it becomes a job, and you don't want that.
Sure. Mundane, and then and for me, I always, like I said, I focus on the why, like why I started, why I picked up the camera, and then also I just try to find other styles of photography that makes me want to continue to learn. Like I feel like if you're continuing learning all the new different styles, like it never gets boring, right? Because there's so much to learn. Like every single time I see something or I learn something that a photographer's doing that I never even thought of, I'm like, okay, how do I incorporate that in what I'm doing? But like I said, it just keeps it interesting. Like instead of just being monotonous and just like doing the same thing that you're comfortable with, right? I always want to keep pushing myself. I'm like, okay, I do great headshots. Like what about boudoir or something? Like I started looking at boudoir, like how would I even do, all that stuff. Like just trying to think of like what other types of, especially in the portrait world, like there's so many different ways, like branding and boudoir and a lot of other things that I'm like, I want to try it all, and see just have fun with it and like get, book a location that has like a couch and all this cool stuff and maybe do like a themed photo shoot, like just trying to keep it fun. I think that's what you need to do. Just keep it fun, keep it creative. And I think that's how you can keep that fire lit,
Take risks.
Take risks.
Really step outside of your comfort zone.
So good.
And you will learn so much about what you do and who you are. It's crazy.
Let's talk a little bit about that, taking risks. What does that actually look like? Because I feel like, I think we talked about it the first time we met, but a lot of people, it's hard for them to take risk, and it's hard for them to step out into the unknown in general. I think that's with any of us, really. There's a fear of failure, there's a fear of all these different things, this fear of what people might think. Let's talk a little bit about how you guys chose to actually step out into what you're doing now. What did that process look like? I know for Jess, you just picked up the camera, but what internally drove you to this reality of, I want to do this? Or what is the passion that led you to that moment to actually give you the courage to step out?
For me, it was when I did my dance film Smothered. When I did that,
so cool.
Thank you.
Great.
That was my first film, and like photography, film has always been something that I loved and always wanted to try. And I, of course, what kept me from doing it for so many years was the fear aspect, right? Like I don't know anything about film. I don't know anything about a camera in that way, and so. After I did Smothered and I, got first place at the Utah Dance Film Festival, I was just like, I want to tell stories, and film is not the only way to tell stories, And so when I picked up a camera, obviously I didn't know much about film, but I was like, but photography, I love that too. And so I just chose to want to really learn the camera, learn this medium that creates such great movies and films, right? So I wanted to understand that. So I chose photography as my way of really getting into a camera and understanding it, and I just fell in love with it. Film was my doorway. Doing that first film was my doorway into photography.
You also had a really great story of, you wanted to be taking portraits and you were practicing with your camera, and then your friend asked you to do portraits, and you're like, I don't know if I'm ready for this, and then you did it anyway.
I did it anyway.
That's how you do it.
And all I did is okay, she wants me to do portraits, cool. I was like, that was the first time I used studio lighting. I did 2 light boxes, and I just watched some YouTube videos and prayed. I'm like, okay, I feel like I got the idea of the 45 angle, I'm gonna just give it a whirl, and I was like, I'm gonna trust my gut and my instincts, and look at the lighting as just take it as a journey, as a process that I got in there, and I was playing, you know what I mean? I didn't feel like I had to be perfect for this shoot. I just had to continue to if the light's not right, move it and change it up, or just continue to move forward. So that was really exciting for me. And like awesome. I said, it just gave me the confidence to continue moving forward with photography.
Yeah, that's so good. Ian, what about you?
Every day's a risk, man. I'm figuring it out day by day. I just like to take on projects that challenge me just outside of my comfort zone, so that if I fail, I can learn from it. It's not so big that I feel crushed.
So good.
So that's something that I really kind of try to live by. If I go too big, I get lost in the weeds, and then I get discouraged. So I just try to take chunks at a time.
Steps.
Yeah.
So what I'm kind of hearing you guys say is that do it, say yes, but oftentimes when you say yes into something unknown, there's a little bit of fear that comes along with that.
Oh,
yes.
for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But you're going to rob yourself if you don't take that chance. If you know, all great things come with risk, and it's a gamble. Like, and when you do it and you come out like successful, it's just like, man, I don't know why I was so scared to do that. Like, and now you have, like I said, the confidence to continue to move forward. Like when you decide not to do something because of fear, you're going to regret it. You know, so you just have to go for it. Like I said, just take the leap. And you'll love yourself for it.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about inspiration. This may be like one of my last questions. I know that you guys look at certain people and you have you follow and you get inspired. But what is something, or maybe like who has inspired you along your journey? Specifically, like a mentor, a leader. It's not just like looking at them from, and I know that there are those people that you look at and you learn from, like you watch YouTube videos, and YouTube is like the new college nowadays.
I know.
You can learn
YouTube
anything.
University.
YouTube.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so great. You can learn anything. But what is, like, talk about, because this side of accountability and collaboration, I think, is really hard for people to really grab a hold of, especially as a freelancer or somebody that loves to do. The reason why you go to freelance is because you want to do your own work. You want to do, you want to be your own boss.
Yeah.
But there's really no accountability there. Let's talk a little bit about inspiration and how maybe a mentor has shaped you, not even necessarily in your field, but just in life. Like, what does that mean to have a mentor? What does that mean to have people around you that are actually challenging you in your day-to-day life?
Oh, the mentorship is the most important thing in your growth, because they give you direction, they give you support, they give you an example to follow, they give you connections, they give you community. I was so lucky to find people to assist for when I was just getting into photography, and I was working in studios and working with photographers and other photo assistants. They had so much more knowledge than me, and I got like fast-tracked. I got that graduate degree fast-tracked, you know, because I had so many people to lean on and learn from. Mentorship is everything, and if you don't have it, look for it.
Right, I agree. Like when I first started out with photography, that was something that I was lacking heavily, is a community and mentorship. And somebody actually asked me the other day, like, who taught you how to do photography? I was like, I taught myself. Like from, like I said, watching YouTube or just trying it, like actually getting behind the camera and figuring it out. Like you learn by doing, right? There's only so many videos you can watch. And so it's been really exciting, like ever since I've joined this community with you, Andrew, and just like the creative meetups and Nomulus, it's like I finally found a community now, like that I can find people to grow with and learn from, because I was very heavily missing that. And I would try to like sign up for these Facebook groups, like on Facebook for photography. But it's so weird. It's like, I mean, there's only so much connection you can have through Facebook groups. You know what I'm saying? And so I just love the fact that I've met so many great people in this amount of time from all of these creative meetups we've been doing, because now I don't feel alone, and I feel like I have somebody to bounce things off of or ask questions and learn from, because I think that's so important to have somebody that's better than you. Like when I was dancing, like I always loved to take classes above my level because I wanted to be in a room with people that were above me so I can get pushed. So I had someone to look to rise to. So I always feel like you should put yourself in situations a little above your head so that you can climb up to it.
Yeah. So good, so good. So basically kind of what I'm hearing you guys say, and the theme is, one, take risk. Do it fearful. Your yes is important, but don't go too big to where it overwhelms you and you get discouraged in your life. That's what you're basically kind of what I'm getting from you, and what you're saying is like, with you specifically, you don't take big risk where it's like, oh my gosh, this is I'm like drowning.
Yeah, I mean, if you get overwhelmed, you know, you lose all of your momentum. You lose that spirit that really compelled you to do the project in the first place. But conversely, there has to be something on the line. And with photography, it's often money.
Right.
You buy new equipment, and then you have to have like an excuse for buying that equipment, or you rent a studio, or you pay for an assistant to come and help you. You know, but those aren't insurmountable obstacles. So you just find little things that can kind of motivate you a little bit. But not. If it fails and it doesn't work out, it's not going to completely ruin you.
So good.
And if you fail, then figure out where you failed and how to correct it. I mean, it's just like you have to fail to understand where your weaknesses are. Because if you know your weaknesses and you know what to work on, like
you can't grow if you're only playing to your strengths.
Exactly. Like you have to push yourself out of your comfort zone, beyond your limits. Just like, you know, any artist has to continue to push the envelope, you know, because that's where innovation comes, or just inspiration comes, and that's where creativity really thrives. Is when it's beyond around you.
Yeah.
You know?
So good.
You have to stay humble. So,
Oh, yeah.
You know, I'm very guilty of this. When I was younger, I just felt like I could go into a situation, spend an hour there, and feel like I knew everything about it. But that's so wrong, and I'm so glad that I kind of gained the perspective to just go in and be humble, and what you were saying earlier, just be open to other people's perspectives and their observations and their experience, because it's like they've lived an entirely different lifetime. They have so many skills to offer, and if you're not open to that, you're missing out on so much.
Oh, totally. You're hindering what you can possibly become. When you do not allow other people to come into your process to help navigate you in waters you've never been to. I always look at corrections as somebody that's caring.
So good.
You know, like in dance, it's like every time a teacher corrected me, I'm like, thank you, right? Because that means you care, that you want me to be better, you want me to improve. And so anytime I get a correction with my photography, I'm like, thank you, that means you care. You care. Thank you for sharing that, you know?
So good. Well, I definitely appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for just taking the time. I am super excited just about future projects.
Oh, me too. Oh, yeah.
What's going to come. You guys are like my people. We can just dream big. We can just accomplish. We can step out and do it fearful all together.
Dang right.
And we're going to figure it out. It's going to be awesome.
When I walked in for the first shoot that we did together and I saw all the lights and the setup, I'm like, shit. I'm like, man, I better bring the big guns here. I'm like, can I do this? I'm like, I can do this. You know what? Just get behind the camera and do it. Let's go.
I'm excited to see how we're all going to push each other.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so excited to work with you guys. I hope that I can bring something to the table as well.
Yes.
Ditto, man.
Yes. Well, thank you guys so much again for spending time and coming on to this podcast. It means the world to me. And thank you guys for all listening and watching. If you want to join another episode of the Creative Collective podcast, make sure you like, you subscribe, you do all the things, and we'll see you right back here.
Yes. See you next time.
Peace.